Stampers, do you make Easter cards for the little ones? Today I'm going to show you a different fold in a card for a little guy. Welcome to Stampin' with Diane. I'm Diane Evans and I'm an independent Canadian Stampin' Up Demonstrator. So here's the card that we're actually going to do today. And it just opens up like this. I have no idea what the name of this fold is. But anyways, so what you're going to need is you're going to need this Welcome Easter stamp set and the Timeless Tulips stamp set. On this one, you can use any one of these critters and change up the colors and that sort of stuff. And then on this one, what we're going to use is Happy Easter, Happy Spring, Happy, Happy Everything. Really like that sentiment that's on there. So I'll just bring this card over here. We're going to be using a number of different dies. So we're going to use the layering circle dies. And actually the one that we're using is the one that fits in here, and it's 2 1/4 from the cut end to the cut end. So we'll be using that. We're also using the stitch shape dies, and we're using the second smallest of the circle dies. The stitched rectangle dies, and I use the second smallest of this one here for the sentiment. We're also using a 2-inch punch and also the basket weave embossing folder. Okay, so the cardstock that we're using is thick Whisper White, and this is cut at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I've scored it at 2 1/4 and 5 3/8. Let me just go in and just make sure that we use the bone folder on there. And then we have a piece of Balmy Blue, and it's 2 inches by 5 1/4. And another piece of Balmy Blue that's 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. It's 2 7/8 by 5 1/4. Now I've gone ahead and already done that embossing on there. I haven't done this one, and I'll explain as we go why I haven't. You're going to need a piece of 1 inch by 3 inch, and another piece that we can cut out the 2-inch circle with. Now the Whisper White that we're going to need is, I cut a piece of Whisper White that was 2 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I cut both these pieces out. And then a piece of this Whisper White 1 by 3, and I cut out that stitched rectangle die. Now one of the first things that we have to do is we've got to stamp this little guy with our memento, because we're going to be coloring it with our blends. And by doing that, what we're going to do is it's going to be good and dry, and we're not going to end up smearing some of the blends at the very, very beginning. So we'll just do that, and then we've got it set aside, and it's out of the way. Now hopefully I can get this lined up better than what I've been doing previously. It's quite a small circle, and we're not going to get the whole image. There, that's not too bad. Okay, so we're just going to put him off to the side there so that it goes ahead and gets dry. We're going to do some other stamping as well. I'm just going to bring in my paper piercing mat, and we're using that stamp set Happy Easter, Happy Spring. And I'm going to do that in Night of Navy because it shows up better than the Balmy Blue would. It's photopolymer, like I say, so we can line it up. Just see right through it and line it up. I say that, and then with the camera in the way, it might not line up. No, that's okay. And then let's just close that up. And I'm just going to put that onto this Balmy Blue piece, and I'm going to do that with dimensionals. Get part of that out of the way. There we go. And I can also layer this Balmy Blue onto that Whisper White piece that we cut out with the 2 1/4 inch circle. Now I can put that on with snail, or I could use glue. So I'm going to just use snail on this part for now. And layer that on there. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine, and I'm going to show you how this part gets cut out. In our dies, and it's going to be that 2 1/4 inch circle. So I'm going to do actually a little bit different. I'm going to do it on this side. So I know it has to go on that side. So I'll bring my 2 1/4 inch circle in, and you can see that I've actually gone and I've marked that at the half marks. Those half marks, and I'll just move this up so you can see it, are going to line up on the folds here. Now at this point you could use washi tape to hold it. You could use a post-it note to hold it. I'm just going to try to eyeball it. Make sure that it doesn't move, and then run it through. And rub that off with it afterwards. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I am going to put this onto here. That I can rub off with one of my tools there. Actually, somebody told me this trick. I wonder if it'll work. You just take a sponge and move it with your sponge. See, that works. Make sure that you don't get any color on there. I forgot all about that trick. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to take that snail again, and we're going to put just a teeny tiny bit on the back of this to make, so it just sticks onto here, just temporary. And then what we're going to do is bring our die cut machine back in, get that 2 1/4 inch circle die, fit it into that groove where those are. You can feel it, it won't move. And then, like I say, now I'm gonna run this in like, put that on there. Oops, sorry about the shaking. And now I've cut out the die there. Now, this is why we did it that way, and we're going to pull this off, because now what we're going to do is we are going to emboss this with that the basket weave. Now, had I done this before, what would have happened, it would have flattened it after when I went to go cut that. So it's so important that you do this, that gets cut first, and then you run this through. But it will flatten this part. Trust me, I've done it. Okay, now we're just going to run that through the die cut machine, or the embossing machine. And like so. It was also important that you don't put the other big piece on there, because that would have also affected the way that goes on. So let's just take this and get rid of that. Okay. So now we've got that ready to go onto our card. We've got a bit of it off on here, but that's okay because it's going to be covered up. And that worked pretty good with that sponge, didn't it? Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use glue this time. Normally I use my tear and tape, but we're just going to around here. We want something that sticks a little bit better than the snail, or something that actually molds into the crevices when you emboss. So that's going to line up right with this hole here. Oops. Glue gives us a bit of wiggle room with that. And then we're also going to put this on this side as well. Glue and me really have issues. So let's go in there and put this on there. Whoops, see what I mean by issues? Oh dear. All right, so let's go ahead and put that on there. Now I've got glue all over my hands. Okay. There we go. Now just that off there. And I want to make sure that that's down on there. Now, we're going to take a clean sponge. And I've got a bit of glue along the edge there. But this just takes that glue off. It's amazing how that works. There we go. Takes this stuff off too. Okay. All right. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and put this here. Now the one key thing to do is I am actually going to go along here, and I'm going to just put this on with the snail. And what happens, what you want to do is you want to get this, if you can see it, maybe I'll bring this paper piercing mat back in. When you put this on here, you want it to be not quite up there, just down just a tad. And by doing that, then it's going to be easy to open and close there as well. Okay? All right. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and let's do our coloring. Now we're learning a different technique on with these Stampin' Blends today. Kind of excited to show you because it's kind of cute. Okay, so the blends that we're using are these colors here. We're using light and dark balmy blue, light and dark smoky slate, the crumb cake, and an old olive. And we need this one in particular, we need to have the lifter. So the first thing that I'm actually going to go in and do is I'm going to do the face. Now we only have 2 colors in each one of these blends. So we're going to create a 3rd tone of the same color. What I should have done too was go in here first, and we are going to color our bow right here. Not too much shading on here because it's pretty small, but I'm just going to go in and just give a bit of definition in there, and then just go back over with this. And then that's all the blue that we're actually using. Okay, then we've got our face done. Now I want you to take the lifter, and what you're going to do is we're going to lift off this gray color, and we're going to create a lighter gray. Okay, and then we're going to go in and finish coloring the rest of the lamb. Light touch is really, really important. If you go with a really heavy touch, you tend to get darker colors. You see where that blend is working? It's a bit different of a color of the smoky slate. You notice that I usually go in circles when I do this. Now, what we want to do is we want to get some shading. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do some of the natural shading that's already in there. You can see my fingers are still sticky from that glue. And then down here. Here as well. A little bit underneath the chin before that part goes there. Okay, so now what we have to do is we don't want those lines on there. We want to make sure that it's blended. So come back in with the lighter smoky slate. We're going to use the brush tip and a very, very light hand. And go in circles. There's times that we do want to have lines showing, but this isn't one of them. And also, if you can, while you're coloring, is leave a bit of a white space. So it's like shadowed over on this side, and then a bit of the white space there as well. Okay. Now, oh, also, the darker color, we can do his little nose. There we go. Now, I guess because it is kind of whimsical, we could make it where it had rosy cheeks on there, but we're not going to do that today. So now, I guess my crumb cake, I could go in and just do the hoofs. A little bit over there. Okay, now, this is the fun part. Now what you want to do is we want to create some wool. So take your lifter and go in circles. Just do it in about 1/8 of an inch circle, maybe up to a 1/4 inch circle. And it takes a bit for this to show because the lifter it lifts off the color. Actually pushes the color to the back of the paper is what it's doing. Now, can you see where we're getting it kind of looking like wool? And it's kind of a neat sort of technique that you can do. This works really well when you're using regular colors as well, because you can get like a polka dot effect on your colors. But there you go there. So it looks like the wool on a lamb. Okay, so now we can finish putting our card together. Now, I think what I'll do is I'll bring in my balmy blue and we'll stamp on the inside. We'll put on Happy Easter. Let's make sure that I've got it going the right way. And we're just put Happy Easter right about there. And it has that, and here it has this little bee there. So I'm just going to put him up there. Just because it's on the stamp, that's why I'm doing that. Okay, so we'll make sure that's good and dry there. Now on this part, we're going to put it up with dimensionals. See that we've done some blending with it because it's taken off. I think 2 will be enough for that. And we're just going to put it in there. Let's see. Yeah. There. Okay. So here we learned how to do it lighter gray by using the color lifter, and then we learned how to also do the wool. Okay. Now on this part, I'm just going to take my tear and tape. And I know this is up at the top, so I'll just put him there. And let's put that about there. And on this one, I used the crinkled seam binding, and I colored it with one of the light, the balmy blue. But I'm going to actually use, what I was thinking I was going to use is this tulle ribbon. Not sure what I'm going to use. Yeah, I'm going to use the tulle ribbon because I have a bow actually already done. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab a glue dot. Well, I would think I was going to grab a glue dot. Okay, I'll get that. But also I'm using some pearls. So I brought in my dark balmy blue, and I want a bigger pearl. Let's see, this size, and a couple of these ones. And I just colored those. Oops. Put one right about there. One about there. And let's see. About there. I could even go there. I'm gonna go there because it looks like there was a bit of a spot there. And then bring in our glue dots. And that ribbon. In there. And a ribbon like that. So there's our card. And they're kind of two different looking cards. There we have it. Now, another thing that you could do is you could also go and you could do a portrait. You could do a portrait this way. Now, one thing I want to mention, it's really important that you watch this size here. I forgot to mention this earlier. You want to make sure that by the extension here to this part here is 4 1/4, because it's 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and then it'll fit into an envelope. I forgot to mention that earlier, and I apologize. But anyways, you could do that into a portrait style where we could do it this way and they could flip this way. That would probably be a video for another time. But anyways, what do you think? Leave a comment below. I really would appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up, maybe even a heart. I'd really appreciate it. But better yet, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do need any of these supplies, don't hesitate to go online under Diane Evans, under Stampin' Up. Use this hostess code. This is only if you are in Canada and you don't have another demonstrator. Use this hostess code, and if you do, for any size order, I will send to you a tutorial. And the tutorial this month is on spring and flowers and that sort of stuff. So I would send it to you for free. But anyways, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. Bye for now.